It is my sincere pleasure to be speaking today with a versatile and extremely talented singer with 3 songs on the UK Soul Top 40, radio host of All About the Funk with 2 awards under her belt, the effervescent Paula Letang. Welcome, Paula.
Hello, how are you doing today? It is so awesome to be here. I'm excited.
It's awesome to have you here. Our conversation before our interview, I found out a whole lot about you, a lot of secret hidden little pieces and tidbits. But what we really want to know is about, your music, your careers. I say that in plural because you have both been a creator of music yourself, as well as the proponent of artists and their music and moving it forward. You've also been someone who has worked together with musical styles, musical genres, Kampa and Zouk, and plugging them in together with modern jazz elements and some soul elements and funk elements.
Yep.
So
I'm like the Sybil of music. I got many layers.
I was going to say the ninja food processor
Ninja's good
of music,
too.
that you put everything together and it comes out fabulous. Okay. Yeah. So where did it all start? Where did music start for Paula Letang?
Oh, wow. Music started for me probably at around age, I'm going to say 7 or 8. Yeah, when I started learning how to play initially the accordion. So my dad, because the accordion actually is a very prominent instrument in the French Creole Caribbean communities. So when you talked about the zouk, you talked about the compa, but there's also other rhythms like quadrille and dances like heel and toe polka, and a lot of those things include the accordion, so it's very, very strong. So really, I believe that my dad kind of brought that over when we moved to Canada and was like, oh, we're going to keep that tradition going, and somebody is going to be playing the accordion. And that happened to be me, because my brother was not nominated for that. I was nominated to play the accordion, and but as I was saying, the accordion, great instrument for people that love the accordion. I have nothing against the accordion. It's just that at the time when I was like 8, it was a little too big for me. Really heavy. It was a heavy instrument. Yeah.
And it's hard
so that's
to play
really how that started.
Yeah. And I understand you also play piano, which is, I guess, the larger version of the accordion that you do not have to pick up.
That's right. Well, actually I did the piano, but went to organ first, right? So you have the pedals and all that stuff. Then the piano, which of course still has the pedals. And then after that, I did guitar as well.
Okay.
So
electric or acoustic?
Acoustic.
Okay.
And then I did a little bit of classical.
Okay. So 6 string or 12 string?
No, this was 6.
Okay.
Yeah, where I learned to do Stairway to Heaven. Yeah, just it was interesting because you got to spread those fingers apart. But it was accordion. I also did a little bit of a clarinet, but I didn't stay with that too long. The piano, the guitar, and yeah.
That is the clarinet being thrown in, and I don't know where it fit into the conversation of music. That I don't see how that keying and the rest of the keyboard work, other than guitar, possibly. If you look at a clarinet, turn it sideways and play it, maybe that's a little bit.
Maybe it was a little lighter. I don't know. So my dad was like, okay, we're going to this, but then I didn't really like it. So we ended up doing the piano and then continuing on. And with that, we also, I had done the Kiwanis, Ontario Kiwanis piano recital. Thing that they did, and so for that it was across Ontario, and I think I got 2nd place for that across Ontario playing piano at the time. So
what got you into the voice work? What got you into singing?
When did the voice? You know what? It's very interesting. The voice actually came in when because my brother also played the guitar, and so one day I remember this clearly. One day we were playing the guitar, and we had the music book, and one of the songs was actually Tina Turner's Proud Mary. I'm not making this up. And and I sang it, and my uncle went, wow, that's really good. And I think it was right at that moment, I was like, oh, I can play the guitar, but I can actually sing something as well. Like I didn't say, oh, I'm a singer on a radio or anything. It was just like, I realized I had a voice. And it was from that song, Proud Mary.
Wow. And how topical.
I know, right? But it really is fact.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So you found your internal instrument
You're right.
while you were
Yes.
learning playing your external, the guitar instrument.
Right. Yeah.
So when did it switch? When did you give up the instruments and focus on the internal instrument?
Well, by the time I was about 16, so this is what, 10 years worth of, or 8 years worth of all of this stuff. We ended up moving out of Ontario and we moved to Vancouver. And so all of those ties kind of broke, because now you'd have to find a new person to teach you the next part or whatever, right? And it was a new city, and I had to go back to high school, even though I had graduated, because they didn't accept the Ontario thing. So it was a frustrating year, very frustrating. So music was not at the top of my list of things to think about. So it kind of left. And I really didn't come back to it until we moved back to Ontario, like about 8 or 9 months later. We didn't stay there very long.
Right.
And then when I came back, I didn't get into, say, the instrument part. It was more about, there was a Caribbean band that wanted somebody to come and sing along with them. And
Okay.
so that's how I kind of got back in. Yeah.
But performance started when you were 16?
Performance started when I was 16. Yeah. So all these things happened just before we moved out of Ontario, and I was did a dance competition because I loved to dance, and so I still do. And I danced basically in my room because I couldn't go to the disco. I wasn't old enough. So I couldn't go. But next door at Buffalo, they had it was very heavily influenced at that time with a lot of the funk, a lot of the soul, especially with Rick James and Tina Marie coming out of Buffalo, which was right next door. So the heavy influence in my teenage years. And so every night I would listen to this station and basically have a disco in my room. Every night. My brother, my mother, and my father, especially over the winter, they'd be watching hockey, and I would be in my room learning a dance move so that I could enter something. And then the opportunity to enter a dance competition, it's kind of like the competition that they have now on with Simon Cowell. What is it? The
America's Got Talent? Or?
Yeah, that kind of one. So it was a little bit of everything. Right. And so I entered that. I didn't win, but I really had a really great time. It was good. I also entered.
I was going to say, was that before or after your beauty pageant that nobody knew about?
That's right. St. Catharines, we got some stuff going on. So when I was about 16, I decided I decided a lot of things when I was 16. And I think my parents just kind of went, okay, here she goes again. We don't know what she's going to do next. I mean, I was a good kid, but I was just always wanting to be involved in something that had to do with the art form in some way. I sewed my own clothes. I did I was invested. And this particular year it was Miss Teen Niagara pageant. And I decided I wanted to enter. So I did. And then when they called me and told me that I was in it, I said, oh, by the way, I'm in a pageant. And my mom's like, oh, you are? I said, yeah, I'm in a pageant and I need to go and get some material because I got to sew my dress. She's like, okay. So they basically supported, my little crazy, ideas when I was 16. And it was really nice with that pageant. I won the Miss Congeniality Award. So all the ladies had gave me that award. So that was very, very sweet. I guess I could say that one of our contestants was Miss Linda Evangelista, who went on to superstardom. Yeah.
Wow. So you were on the same page with Linda Evangelista.
Yeah. And such a sweet person. I mean, I'd love to connect with her one of these days, but I don't think she'd remember me. But
oh, sure. She's going to see this. She's going to see this on our TV.
There she is. I've been looking for her all this time.
Oh, word.
Right. No, it was beautiful. It was really nice. It was, I was very much into whatever art form I could just dive into because I just like to be creative. So
right.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna throw one of your own quotes at you. Okay. This came from an interview you did with one of the British radio stations. You said, "Music is your heart." So when did music become your heart? When did music, as opposed to art and creativity, When is music your heart?
Music became my heart when I was able to comfortably express myself and write. Like my very first poem, I still have it, that I did when I was about 16, 17. I mean, I think a lot of things just kind of came to me at that time, you know, when you've been building something up and then it all comes together. And I feel like around that time in my life, it was all coming together. And I was writing a lot of poetry. I wasn't necessarily writing melodies to them yet. It was more about freely being able to find the right words, find the right rhymes, make sure that things were, and understanding that, oh, there's actual structure, and, you know, following through and just learning that process. So,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
around that time, because English was one of my best classes in high school. So
Right.
I did really, really well in English. So because of that, I kind of started to realize, oh, you could actually write. It's kind of like, oh, you can sing. Okay, you can write. And then taking those skills and starting to really build on it.
So when did it become professional for you?
It became professional for me probably around
Don't say when you
when
were
I was
16.
about when I was 16. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to say it was probably around when I was about 26, 27.
Right.
Because at that point, then I started to put the two together, put the music and the lyrics and the melodies, and actually start to develop melodies, because that wasn't something that I was doing really. I mean, I was really just, even though you kind of have a melody, but I'm not trying to actually produce a song.
Right.
Right. So I think it was probably when I was around 26, 27, when I was like, okay, this actually sounds okay. And started to do music. But it was really with the first album that was done, which was called Nuka Ule.
Okay.
We did the first album and I started to write music on that album. Yeah.
So Nuka Ole, that's Creole, right? That's your Creole album. And in our conversation, you said that the Creole music, the compa, the zouk, wasn't part of your upbringing because you left the Caribbean, Dominica, really early in your life.
Yes.
So when did those influences kick in?
Okay, well, what's really interesting is that one thing that I remembered, or that stuck with me, was that Dominica had a language. I knew that, but I didn't really know it. You know, you just kind of know, but you don't really know. Now there was some songs that were on a LP that my dad had from the Dominican Swinging Stars. So that was the popular group at the time. And some of those songs had Creole words, and I would make sure that I actually spent the time trying to repeat those words and say them, even though I didn't know what they meant. But it didn't matter, because for me, that created a sense of kind of putting together something that I couldn't touch because it was miles away, but I could hold on to it, even if it was just a few words that I didn't know what that meant.
Sort of
right?
a connectivity, right?
Yeah, it was. I don't know how to explain it, but it was so important to me that I kept some of that, even though I really, really honestly didn't know why. I just know that for myself, I needed to. Yeah.
And then when did that become now the focus of the music? Like you say, your first album was based in that genre. So
yeah.
Where did that connection come through? When did you start pulling it in?
So what happened is my husband, who's also from Dominica, the nature island, because sometimes people get that mixed up with Dominican Republic, but it's not. It's Dominica. And he's also from Dominica. And he brought all of that, right? Because he grew up there. He was like in his 30s, and he'd already fluent in the language. So I was just drawn to that because this is what I was missing. And lucky for him. And he's lucky he came with something that I could use. But then he brought all of that, and I learned about bands that I'd never heard of, that had been around for so many years. And I just started, I literally learned some songs that at the time we hadn't written, but songs that I didn't even know, but I memorized them so that I could sing them, so that I felt like I was part of them.
Right.
And then through that, I was able to eventually learn to write some of those songs, including Message en Bouteille.
Uh-huh. So your earlier influences in music, so Anita Baker and Karen Carpenter and Styx and ABBA and Peter Gabriel Genesis, not Phil Collins Genesis, and Sade. These are musical genres that are, I would say, far and away from the Caribbean music that you developed your first album. Did you take any of the influences from that music and meld it in with the work that you were doing in your first album? Or was it just an experimentation process of, I want to see what my culture and my ethnicity has to offer before I start pulling from other places that are, what I grew up with?
Yeah, I think that I probably subconsciously brought in some of that delivery, because one thing is that when you have the French Creole, compas and zouk, you'll find that there's a way that it's delivered, like the language, because of the strong, the French. So this is how it's going to come out. Where I think I brought in the North American style. I just sang like myself, like I would if I was a North American singer. So I think that was the difference that I definitely brought in to it.
Did you bring any funk in? Because I know Don Silva is also one of those characters in your past, so to speak. Brides of Funkenstein, Anchor Walk. Did any of that?
Funky.
Did any of that get its feel?
One thing I did love was I feel like I brought in some of the even the Canadian influence with because I love the rock guitars, right? So you'll find that within Nukawale, which means we are rolling. So that was like the first album, so that's like we're rolling, we're getting started, we're watch out, here we come. But I love the rock guitars. I loved, like, one of the songs you'll hear it. Oh no, that's the second album a little bit more, when we were developing a little bit more. But we did bring in some of those influences, most definitely. We wanted it to have, although it had a French Creole sound, we wanted a North American sound to it as well.
Right. And I know I've listened, actually, I listened to Message dans une bouteille. I'm trying to say it properly, but I can't get it out. I get message in a bottle out easier.
It's not bad. But you got to do it with an English accent, and then you probably
no, that's too much. I can't do Message en bouteille.
There you go. You see, you even did it. There you go.
And now my tongue is tied in a knot. But I listened to it and I watched you in it, and it's more of me watching you than it was. The music has a little bit of a feel to it. I can distinguish between the French Creole music because I listen, and that has sort of like more of a soul-based, deep-rooted kind of countrified kind of music to it. And I don't mean country as in like the cowboy hat country, but the Creole country feel and flavor to it. I would say it's like sitting down to a banquet meal of seafood and fresh vegetables, and like everybody's involved in it. Whereas the music that you put forward had more of it's a dance party. There's food, but there's also refreshments, and you're not going to be sitting at the table having the conversations over a whole bunch of food. It's more of get up and it's light and it's go. So I do see the influences. I do, and I know I'm doing food analogies. That's probably because I'm hungry. But the fact of the matter is that I usually look at music as being a conversation over a table. A lot of music is. Some music is a subtle one-on-one conversation over coffee or over a drink. And some music sounds like a group of people at a table having this intimate but very lively conversation. And I found that Message dans une bouteille, did I get that right? Yeah. Sounded more like that. It sounded more like a lively kind of engaging conversation where people get up and they come back and they come into the conversation. And it's that kind, as opposed to the very engaged, quiet around the table. We're only going to be talking, and that's what I like about it. I like music that's engaging but also lively. Well,
I can tell you that Message en Bouteille was actually one of the first songs that I started the creation of, right? So eventually we built Tony Chasseur, who is a huge jazz artist out in Martinique, had come to visit the city. We were putting on a festival. He came and we gave him a bunch of songs that we were working on. But that one was actually the first one that I actually, when you hear the keyboard playing in the beginning, is actually me. I actually started it. So you're right. Like you can hear that, you know, I really, at that point, even though I knew it was never going to be, it was going to be my version of Zouk is really what I was saying. It was going to be me. And that's what you picked up on.
I tried to articulate. I don't know if I got it across.
That
It
was
was more
good, though.
sounding like I'm describing an Anthony Bourdain meal as opposed to, but like I say, I listen to your music and I can see and listen to the authenticity of your creativity. It isn't like you're borrowing a cultural norm and just saying, here, I'm going to play some Zouk, I'm going to play some compa and just see, you know, my voice in it, doing music, you know, like somebody basically doing a cover of Whitney Houston or doing a cover of Adele. You can tell it's a cover, and yours is authentic. It doesn't sound like a cover. It doesn't sound like a cultural cover, which is what I would say to a musical genre, that if you use it and do that genre, you kind of go, that's not really you. That's you doing something. You know, if you were to do Dvorak and play that on the piano, I'd probably go, that's your version of Dvorak, but it's still Dvorak. Whereas if you took Dvorak and put some Creole in it, put a little Zouk to it, then I would say that's you. I would say that's Paula Letang, because now I'm feeling something different out of the music. I get the music, I know it, I remember it, but it doesn't sound like it. And it doesn't sound like it in a bad way. It sounds like it in a really interesting, creative way. So
but you are right on, because my argument is always, whenever I'm creating anything, I never try to be anybody else. Really, I just come in, this is what I want to do, this is how I'm feeling it. I'll stay within the genre to a certain degree, but I will move it around based on what I want to project. And if people like that, great. And if you don't, that's okay too. Or maybe you like a little bit of it or whatever. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to be doing it to try to appease or anybody to try to fit into some sort of a mold.
Right.
I can't do it. I don't know how.
So a question that I've asked others, and I'm going to ask you because you don't seem to have them, are nerves. So in your performance work, do you experience, before you get up on stage, before you get up to a production area, do you feel nerves? Do you get the butterflies in your stomach? And if you do, what do you do about them? Or are you one of these people that just goes, I'm going on live, drop the mic, this. I'm going.
I am, if I'm with the band, if I am with a group of people and I'm good. I find my space and whatever. If I'm by myself, I really do feel that I have a lot of people with their eyes on me. And as long as I can't see you, like if the lights are enough in my face that I can't see you, then I don't worry about it as much. But if I can actually see, like if it's an intimate setting and I can see you, you can see me, then I feel like it's really important what I deliver. So that's a pressure. I don't know if I get nervous as much, but I think I do need to get over that little hump, like first song or two.
Do you have a persona that you drag in with you that you throw on like a cape for a while just to embolden yourself to step forward? And then once you've got yourself in the groove, you can say, okay, I can take off the James Brown cape.
I need one. Thank you for this idea. I need one because I don't have one. So now I'm going to have one. I'm going to get the outfit made, the suit, everything.
Just a James Brown cape. You come out with a James Brown cape. You've got the persona. I feel good. And once you're in there, you just throw the cape off or hand it off to somebody and you continue on.
But I also think that for me anyways, as I get older, I feel less bothered or fearful. Because you're just like, you kind of grow into yourself.
Right.
And you're okay. Like I think about it from when I was younger to now, I would not be responding the same way. Because I've done in stuff, and I feel good about that stuff, and I don't feel that. Yeah, I think I just feel the confidence that I'm okay. And
Well, I mean,
they're gonna sing along, or they're gonna not, or they don't care because maybe it's a bad day and whatever, your throat is whatever. They don't care. They're really here to be with you and to support you.
yeah.
So if you've got your support, why are you afraid? They're
Well,
there for you. They're there for you, unless there's somebody isn't, and they're gonna throw an egg at you or something. But I think for the most part, they're there for you. So you're okay.
so the pressures of performing appropriately for the people that are there for you, that's gone away now. Now it's just, I'm going to perform, and if you like it, good. If you don't like it,
Well, I mean, you still want to do a good performance, and you want them to like it. I mean, I don't think I wouldn't care. I don't think I would not care. I think I would care, but I'd probably want to know, because, okay, what was it that maybe I could do better next time, or change, or not, depending, because that might just be how I feel. Right.
Yeah. So that would then step into the idea about fans. Do you like feedback from your fans? Do you let them write to you and say, "Dear Paula, I really love the show, but
yeah,
there's this little, when you were on the keyboard there for a few minutes, there was that little note slip, and maybe you could work a little on your keyboard or on your accordion work, or, do you want that kind of feedback, or do you engage with your fans only at a level of, thank you for coming, really appreciate your support, and leave it at that? How deep?
So all those other ones, I block them. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. You know what? I'm open to whatever, because I also realize that people hear things differently, right? So everybody's hearing something based on maybe how they're feeling at the moment, or whatever's going through their mind. So I can respect that. So I take it in, but I don't necessarily beat myself up about it. Yeah, because maybe that person's just having a bad day, or maybe I was having a bad day. So I don't want to beat myself up.
That's good. That's good. Now, I've said it before, I'll say it again. You have an evolution to your genius. Okay. You started out, as I said, with the Creole bass, and you were working with that. And then you moved through Sunshine and Too Hot, and Bring It Back Around, and I'll Be Lying. And I mean, you got hits in the UK with these. These are not Creole. No. They're an entirely different genre, the style, the look, the feel, the sound. And I know you were starting a new album that had some of those songs in it, but in our conversation, you said something about that's going to get parked for a little while. You may come back to visit that, but you are evolving. Your evolution has changed, and you're moving in a new direction.
I am.
What's the new direction for you?
The new direction is I'm definitely leaning a lot more to kind of a pop, or more of a pop sound. So for instance, the song Lover for Life has a bit of a reggae pop vibe to it.
Right.
This particular one has a little bit of a pop soul to it. So I'm kind of moving into the direction, and I'm sure it's a lot influenced, but by what I'm hearing on mainstream right now, right? So also artists like Silk Sonic, who brought back a lot of within their album, brought back a lot of the retro style. I'm kind of digging into that a little bit. The first part of the music, from Sunshine to Too Hot to all of those songs, they were kind of experimental for me. Kind of what do I want? Like, it was a little bit of everything. Like, the styles, as you can hear, they're not the same.
Yeah,
they are varied, a lot similar in some way, but very varied. And it was me just trying to test vocals, test melodies, test where I thought that I fit. And so I feel like right now I'm fitting into before I change my mind, I need to get it done. I'll change my mind again. I'll be like, oh, I'm leaving that one on the floor.
Opera singing, opera singing.
Right. I'll start doing that instead. But I think that what I'm hoping to get it done within the year, actually, because I've already done the 2, and I'm actually starting work on the 3rd one and plan to have the 4th one done by the end of the year. And then it'll just be an EP of 4 songs.
Oh, okay.
So I do have a strong goal this time to really stick to that idea and finish that and complete it. Yeah.
Okay. So, I think actually you should, after this, look at a compa zouk opera.
I think I should go?
Go with an opera. I think you should go in the direction of developing something like that based on possibly some Dominica mythology, something from there, and develop something up. And you never know.
That's very interesting, though. I don't know if there's a zouk opera.
No, there isn't.
Oh, there isn't.
There isn't. That's why I'm hitting you up for it. I'm giving you the idea for something that I think you could sink your teeth into, because going through your music that I have witnessed and seeing some of the previous stuff that you've done, I know you have the creative chops to throw this together. And I know you've got some connections as well to throw this together. So I would love to see that. That's me putting a bug in.
Is this a challenge? Is this a challenge?
It's a challenge. Next year at this time,
right, we're going to be talking about my zouk opera, and it's going to be on Broadway.
Yeah. Well, it's got to go through. You've got to do it as a film as well, because it's got to go to the Toronto Film Festival. You've got to go to TIFF.
That's right.
I mean, come on.
That's right. The world is my oyster.
You can have a cameo of Linda Evangelista and bring that thing together all around. Big circle of life.
I love it. That's so funny. You never know, though. You never know. Never say never. I'm starting to do some soulful house music, which is something that I haven't really done. And actually, I had a gentleman just send me some music last night, and he's like, I'd really love if you could work on this. And I listened to it today over and over and over and over again, just so that I could get used to it, to see if I liked it. And I feel like I'm going to do something, and that will be on this thing I need to finish.
Four record EP.
It's probably going to now go 5, because this was brand new, but I want to add it, I think. Yeah.
Well, you have to give me the demo, the piece just before you release everything, because I want to hear all this. Absolutely want to hear all this.
Absolutely, without a doubt, I will. I promise you.
So the last question I've got for you, and this is the one. This is the big apple one. Is about in the movie Citizen Kane. All right. As he's passing away, he says Rosebud, and nobody knows what that is. And what it is, it's a defining moment in his life. It's a thing. It was his sleigh that made him who he was through his entire life.
Yeah.
And in our conversation, you also have a defining thing. It's a book, a series of books.
Yes.
That made you who you are.
Edgar Eager.
Yeah, it's what drives your creativity. It's what makes this everything is possible. There's no impossibilities.
Yeah.
So tell me about
the coin. Yes. It's the magic coin. The magic coin. And with that coin, you could do anything. You could go anywhere. You could be, well, you couldn't necessarily be anybody, but you could take where you were to a whole other level, imagination, and just be creative within it. And I think that it was from reading that book that really just opened up the door for me to say, you can do this and you can do that, and this can happen. And it's while it was imaginary, but the idea that I could make that was the imaginary reality real. That book really changed me. I love that book. I've read it more than once. I've read it recently. I just keep reading it because it was just so well written. For me, anyways. I mean, it's a kid's book now, but the message is still there, that you can be creative. You can feel, I don't even know. It's hard to express, but it's I don't know. It's hard to express. You can be yourself. You can be creative without fear.
Yeah, you can be yourself, be a creative self without the fear of judgment or the fear of repercussion, because whatever you want to be isn't wrong because you want to be it.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I haven't even read the book. I haven't read it yet.
You need to read the book now. Now you need to go and get the book.
I need to.
But it's the thing that has allowed me to do all of these different styles and things, because I feel like I can do them, and I don't have to feel like I can't.
So that
right?
should
Like,
be the name of your EP, The Magic Coin.
oh, there you go. And people are like, what's that? Well, have I got a story for you?
Yeah, or you could call it the Magic Disc since it's an EP, and people go, "What's a disc?" Because they don't make those anymore. But you could call it that. Why not?
Yeah, that's a great idea. But it's exactly that. That book was, and I think I read that probably when I was about 8 or 9. And through that I started writing. Actually, my mother, I had written a book and I lent it to my friend, and my mom got mad at me because the friend lost it. But my mother doesn't, I don't know if she really lost it. I think she was just upset because she wasn't a writer and she really liked the story, and then she never gave it back.
Maybe she liked it so much she kept it, and she became Linda Evangelista because the book inspired her.
Right. Because she could be anything she wanted to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's absolutely fabulous. Paula, I guess we're going to move to the music now.
Oh,
Here is Paula Letang with DJ Spin That Song Again. Get up off your chair and enjoy Paula Letang.
Well,
So
I hope
thank
you guys like that song. It just takes us back to yesteryear. That song was influenced by, again, the Buffalo, living close to Buffalo, the music at the time, and also when I was in my 20s and in the 20s, going to the clubs and just feeling free. Again, this whole idea of being free to be, and that's the idea behind the song. Those songs allowed that.
It says it really well. It has a sort of a flavor, a subtle flavor of Parliament in there, not a driven flavor, not that whole funkadelic component, but it does have that feel. It does have that movement. You can't sit in the chair and just listen and go, oh, that's nice. Your butt starts moving right when you listen to it. I'm sorry. I have to say it does. I mean, not mine did when I was listening. I was sort of bouncing around on the chair, but I'm old, so I don't want to break anything. So, Paula, I want to thank you very much for joining us today. I'm looking forward to your next endeavors. I'm looking forward to the EP, the magic disc or coin, however you want to label it. I'm hoping. Opera. Yeah, I'm hoping for the Zouk Opera. I'm absolutely hoping for it. Possibly another chart-topping single. Who knows? Or maybe even a movie cameo. More than just your voice as a radio DJ.
You just never know. I do want to say a big thank you to you so much, and to Easy Jazz FM for having me. I truly appreciate it. And yeah, I look forward to bringing more music to the station, and hopefully you'll like it.
Well, absolutely love it, Paula. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.